So if you've been using WordPress for any amount of time, there's a pretty good chance you've heard of Elementor. Elementor is the world's leading WordPress page builder. You can design pages visually, drag and drop everything, and make your website look amazing. Plus, there's no coding needed. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing, while the free version of Elementor is great and everything, the Elementor Pro version, that's where the real magic happens. With Elementor Pro, you lock more of the advanced tools, like the theme builder. This allows you to custom build any part of your WordPress websites. Or the pop-up builder. This is where you can insert pop-ups anywhere on your websites. Or the mega menu builder. This allows you to make custom mega menus using the Elementor page builder. Plus, there's tons of more powerful widgets that can make your website feel like a professional design studio. So in this video, I'll walk you through how to completely build your WordPress website step by step using the Elementor Pro version. Now, before we begin, let me give you a quick demonstration of Elementor Pro live on one of my websites. So here's the website that we're gonna make today in this video. Now, this website has Elementor Pro on it. Now, the first thing that I've incorporated here is I added in this animated text right here where you can actually have animations on specific text. We've also incorporated a CSS AI with this text right here to give it this really cool 3D effect. Also, this menu up here is completely built with the theme builder. So we actually built this menu from the ground up. On top of that, we've actually incorporated a really nice mega menu where users can go ahead and click on specific elements. You can incorporate videos. Here, I just added in some demo content and just threw in an image with a button. But of course, you can completely build your own mega menu from scratch. And I'll walk you through how to do that a little bit later. Now, another thing that I'll walk you through is how to use the CSS with AI feature. If I hover over this button right here, you're going to see that it animates to this gradient, and this was all done using the Pro version with CSS and AI. So I'll walk you through how to do that as well. Another really cool feature is adding in pop-up menus. If I click on this button right here, we have this really sleek pop-up menu. Now you can incorporate pop-ups on your website any which way you choose, but I like to use pop-ups as a menu. I just feel like it looks really professional and it's just really, really easy on the eye. You can also incorporate pop-ups when they click a button and just ask for, their email or something else, or even incorporate a video player right here to promote your products or services. You can also use pop-ups automatically. So if you just scroll down, you can incorporate pop-ups to just display on your website automatically. Now, scrolling down, there are some other cool things. Right here, we've incorporated this animated gradient text, so you can incorporate this throughout your websites. Also, if you want to get a little wacky, if I hover over these images, you're going to see that the images tilt, and we can use the CSS feature to give specific images, animations, or effects. Scrolling down, we also have a loop builder. Now, this is basically where you can custom build your blog post or any custom post type where you can custom build it from scratch. In this case, I built my own blog post templates and I built it from scratch. So I'll walk you through how to build your own custom post templates from scratch using the loop builder. And the last thing that I want to show you all here is how to add in animated gradients using, again, the AI feature. You can incorporate gradient AI backgrounds using the CSS feature, which is in the Pro version, and I'll walk you through on how to do that. And don't forget, we are going to import this same website for free on your website so you can follow along step by step. Okay, so let's get started. So I'll walk you through this Elementor Pro tutorial in 4 simple steps. In step 1, we'll get a domain and hosting for your new Elementor Pro websites. In step 2, we'll install a WordPress theme and import in Elementor templates. In step 3, I'll walk you through how to build your website using the Elementor page builder. And in step 4, I'll walk you through the Elementor Pro version. I'll walk you through each of the features so you understand how to use all the features with Elementor Pro. Okay, so let's get started. So let's first go to step 1. Now there is a link in the video description. This will take you to step 1, and that's to get a domain and hosting for your new website. Okay, now this is Hostinger.com. Now Hostinger.com is among the fastest and also the most reliable web hosting in the industry. They are also officially recommended by WordPress as well. Now before we begin, if you speak other various languages, here at the top under this little American flag banner, we'll click on English, and here you can switch to your native language. So if you speak Japanese or German or French or Thai, you can select your native language and the entire website will be translated to your native language. So here I'll close this. Now here I'll click on Claim Deal. Now here we have a few different plans. We have the Premium, the Business, and the Cloud Startup. Now, I personally recommend to go with the business plan. With the business plan, you actually get more resources, more storage, and you can host more websites. And with the basic plan, you only get SSD storage versus NVMe storage. If you're not sure what that means, just know that NVMe storage is 4 times faster than SSD. So as a result, your website will be a lot faster if you decide to go on the business plan. And don't worry, you get a free domain, a big discount, and a 30-day money-back guarantee for any reason whatsoever. So once you decide on a plan, you'll then click on Choose Plan. Okay, now the next option you'll select is the period. So right here, if you click on this arrow, you'll see we have 48 months, 24 months, 12 months, and 1 month. I definitely recommend going with 12 months or more. This will actually apply the largest discount available, and you'll still get a free domain if you select more than 12 months. So go ahead and select the period, and on the right side, you'll see that we have this option for a coupon code. And don't worry, I got your back. If we scroll down right here and enter the coupon code Daryl10, we will save an additional 10% on top of the discount already available. So right here, I'll click on apply. And there we go. So now we have 81% total in discounts, and you'll only pay $43 for the entire year, and that's all you're gonna pay. So once you enter in that coupon code, you'll then click on continue. Now the next step is you'll register for hosting your account. So right here, you'll enter in an email address and also a password. Once you enter in your email and your password, you'll then click on register. So next we're brought to our checkout page, and here we need to input our information for our billing address. So I'll go ahead and fill out my information. Okay, once you enter your billing address, you'll then click on continue. Next, you're brought to your payment method. So here you can pay with credit card, you can pay with MasterCard or Visa, American Express, or for those of you who have Discover, you can use a Discover card. Also, you can pay with PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay, and Alipay. So I'll go ahead and put in my credit card information. Okay, so once we fill out our credit card information, we'll then click on submit payments. All right, so after the payment page, it'll actually redirect us to the next page. Okay, so now we're gonna walk through the Hostinger wizard. So who is this website for? Well, it's for me or my business. I'll click on next. Do you want to create or migrate a website? I want to click on create a website and click on next. So next you'll create your login credentials, and this is what you're gonna use to log into WordPress. So make sure you write this down. You'll put in your email address, and then also put in a password for WordPress, and then you'll click on next. Next, they're asking us what kind of website we want to build. We can actually click on create a blank site and skip this section. So click on create a blank site. So next you'll enter in the domain for your new website, and you get a free domain using our coupon code. So this is the domain name that people enter in the address bar when they're browsing the internet. So for example, I'll put darylstutorial.com. After we type that in, you'll see this is our free domain and it's currently available. So you'll go ahead and select your domain here, and then you'll click on next. So next we're going to register your domain, and this is important because you're claiming ownership of this domain. So is this personal or is this a company? I'll select personal. You'll then select the country of where you registered this domain. So I'll put United States, and then I'll click on next step. And next you'll enter in your contact details. This is important because this lets people know who actually owns this domain. So if you ever want to sell your domain later or something, they're always going to look at your contact details. So go ahead and put in your first name, your last name, and your contact information. And once you're done, you'll then click on finish registration. So next you'll go ahead and select a server closest to your target audience. So if you're in the Americas, you'll go ahead and select United States. If you're in Europe, you'll select Germany, or if you're in South America, you'll select Brazil. This really isn't that important because you do get free CDNs with Hostinger, and that makes copies of your website and puts it on servers all around the world. So your website will still be fast regardless of your location. But in my instance, I'll go ahead and pick Arizona right here, and then I'll click on next. So now Hostinger is going to install WordPress on our new domain. So just give this maybe like 1 or 2 minutes. And congratulations, this is now your new WordPress website. So this is Hostinger's welcome wizard where they're just saying, hey, get started with your website, and they offer some tutorials and all that cool stuff. Now, before going any further, I first want you all to check your email. So going over here to my Gmail, you're going to receive very important emails from Hostinger. The first thing that you're gonna do is verify your email address. This will make sure that you're a real person, and this will actually verify your email with Hostinger. So I'll go ahead and click on verify email. Okay, and this is the Hostinger dashboard, and this is where you can access the websites, you can make free business emails, and a whole lot more. We'll talk more about the Hostinger dashboard a little bit later, but let's go ahead and go back to the email. There is one more email that we also need to click on, and that's from Hostinger as well. Here, click on Inbox. You're going to want to verify your domain right here. So verify your email address to use your domain. I'll click on this, and then we'll click on Verify Email. So after you click on that link, our domain information has now been verified by hostinger.com. So let's jump back to our WordPress dashboard. So here you'll see at the top, we have this preview domain. Now, in order to access your website and get out of preview mode, all you got to do is type in your domain name. So type in darylstutorial.com. And this is now your new domain where you see it's live on the internet. Now, if you ever want to log into your WordPress website, there's two ways to do this. You can either do this through the Hostinger dashboard. I actually do this quite often because I get very lazy and I forget passwords really easily. All you'll do is go over here to the website tab, and then you'll see your domain, and you can just click on WordPress admin, and this will log you directly into your website. And just like that, we are now logged into WordPress, and you'll see that we are now using our live domain on the internet. And if I click on visit site right here, you'll go ahead and see a copy of our websites. So next, let me show you all how to log into WordPress using your browser. So here you'll enter in your domain name, and then you'll enter -wp-admin, and this will bring you to the WordPress login screen. So I'll press enter. This is where you're going to enter in your credentials. You'll enter in your email and your password. So just remember, these are the credentials that you created when you installed WordPress. So I'll go ahead and click on Remember Me, and then I'll click on Login. So that's how you can log in and log out of WordPress, so you can work on your website from any location. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the WordPress dashboard. So here you'll go ahead and see a list of your pages. So if I click on All Pages right here, you'll see a list of all of your pages. These are just demo pages, so you can just go ahead and delete these pages if you don't want them. Also for posts, the same thing for posts. These are a list of all of your blog posts, and you always get this cool one called Hello World, which is just an introduction to the blog, but we can go ahead and also trash this. So I'll click on trash, and that's how you can delete pages from your websites. So let's go ahead now and jump into the important WordPress options. So let's go ahead and go over here to users and click on profile. So the first thing you can do is you can go ahead and change the backend color scheme of your websites. So if you like blue or coffee or midnights, you can go ahead and select one of these colors. I do like midnights. I feel like this is easier on the eye, right? If you scroll down, you'll see this is where you can change your email. So if you ever forget your password for WordPress, it'll always be sent to this email. So make sure you have access to it. We'll go ahead and scroll down. Now, if you ever want to change your password for WordPress, you'll go ahead and click on Set New Password, and then you'll enter in a new password for WordPress right here. Once you're done with those options, we'll then click on Update Profile. Next, let's go ahead and go over here to Settings, and let's click on General. Now, the first thing is you can give your website a name. So I'm going to put Daryl's Store, right? And then you have a tagline. This is kind of like the tagline of your website. You know how Nike has Just Do It, right? You can put a tagline if you want, or you can leave it blank. You can also upload a site icon, and this appears at the top of browsers when people visit your websites. And scrolling down, you can always adjust your email address again right here. Now, for those of you who speak various languages, you can actually change the backend of WordPress to your native language. So if you speak Chinese or Russian or Dutch or Spanish, you can go ahead and select the language right here, and the entire backend will change to your native language. Once you're done with those options, we'll then scroll to the bottom and then click on Save Changes. Okay, now there's two more options that I do want to check. Let's go ahead and click on the Discussion tab right here. Now, WordPress started off as a blog, so people typically are going to leave comments on your websites, but that's really annoying. So right here, I'll click on Allow People to Submit Comments. This typically will allow people to spam your website with like Viagra pills and all sorts of crazy stuff. So make sure you uncheck that box, scroll to the bottom, and then click on Save Changes. And the very last option before we design our website is permalinks. So right here, I'll click on permalinks. Now, you always want to change the permalink structure to post name. This is optimal for SEO, and it's a lot cleaner. You'll see these other Links right here are really messy with the date and all this unnecessary information. Post name is actually optimal for SEO and is the best setting for your permanent link structure. So go ahead and select post name, scroll to the bottom and click on save changes. Okay, now let's go ahead and click on our dashboard. All right, congratulations on your new website. Pretty simple, right? Hostinger makes things like stupid proof, as you can tell. So in this next step, I'm gonna walk you through how to install a WordPress theme, and then we're going to import a starter template. Then I'll walk you through how to use the page builder. We'll talk about the Flexbox and other things about the Elementor page builder. With that said, let's go ahead now and jump back to the video. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna do is we're now going to install a WordPress theme. So over here under Appearance, let's click on Themes. Here at the top, I'll click on Add Theme. And then under Search Themes, we're gonna type in Solace, S-O-L-A-C-E. So this is the theme that we're gonna use, and this comes with more than 100 demos that you can use to create your website. So right here under Install, click on Install. Then you'll click on Activate. Okay, now once you install the Solace theme, it'll prompt you to install the plugin to import the starter templates. So right here under this blue button, you'll click on Install Starter Templates. And after that, it'll redirect you to the Solace dashboard. So from here, we can go ahead now and import some starter templates. So for starter templates, I'll click on Start Now. Next, you'll see this page with me. I'm saying, hey, how are you? And this is like a little video I made, but here at the bottom right, I'll click on Start Now. And here's a list of free starter templates that you can easily import on your website with one click. Now we have a variety of different templates for a variety of different niches. On the left side, you can also filter by category. So on the category section on the left side, let's click on Marketing. And we're gonna import a template called Pixel Pro. So we're gonna scroll down and you're gonna see this template right here called Pixel Pro. If you can't find it, you can just type it in on the search bar. So under Pixel Pro, let's click on this image. So here's the website. Now what's really cool with this WordPress theme is you can actually scroll down and actually take a look at what the theme looks like before you import it. So you can go through any of our templates, you can check it out, and then you can import it directly onto your WordPress website. You can also adjust the color palette. So if you don't want the green, you can change it to like pink or blue or something like that. You can also change the font style as well. But once you adjust your color palette and your font style, here I'll click on the checkbox. This right here will activate the Elementor page builder. This essentially creates all the content, so you must check this box in order to import the website. Once you've done that, you'll click on Continue. Next, it'll prompt you to enter in your name and your email. You can always choose to opt into our newsletter. If you don't want to, no problem, you can always skip this step. So right here, I'll click on Skip this step. Now Solace is going to import your starter websites. Now this process might take anywhere between 1 to 3 minutes. All right, the import has been complete and now you can check your website. So right here, I'll click on Check Website. And just like that, you now have a beautiful website. How about that? So we can scroll down here and make sure everything imported correctly. You'll see we have these images, you know, just general upsells and some content for your website. So it's not so like naked, right? Here we have just some like upsells about our company. Scrolling down, you can obviously replace these images with your, your team or your company. And then we have our frequently asked questions here at the bottom. And then we have a call to action with our footer there at the bottom. Amazing. So let's go ahead now and talk about how to design this website using the drag and drop page builder. Okay, so in this part of the video, I'm going to walk you through how to use the Elementor page builder. Now, before we go into the pro version, we obviously need to learn the basics. So we're going to start on a blank page. I'll walk you through how to create sections, how to use the Flexbox, and also how to use the grid layout. So with that said, let's go ahead now and jump back to the video. So let me give you all a 10-minute crash course on how to use the Elementor page builder. Now, I recommend starting from a blank page. So over here under the plus new, let's click on page. And for the title, I'll put practice. At the top right, I'll click on publish and publish. And to turn on Elementor, here at the top, let's click on edit with Elementor, and this will turn on the page builder. You might get notifications on your first time, so I'm gonna close this, and I'm also gonna close the structure box here as well. Also, you might notice that we have this page title, so I wanna remove this. So to remove the page title, all you gotta do is click on page settings, and then over here, I'll go ahead and click on the page layouts, and click on Elementor full width. And this will make sure that we're only using the Elementor page builder. All right, cool. So now you can see that we have the header, the footer, and then we have the main content of our websites. Okay, so let's get started. Now, the very first thing that we need to do is create a row. So right here, I'll click on plus, and here I'll select Flexbox. We'll talk more about the Flexbox and grid in just a bit, but let's just select a 2-column row for now. Now here at the top left, I'll click on Add Elements, and let me explain how this works. So these are basically columns, and you can drag and drop elements inside of the columns. So here on the left side, you'll see that we have basic elements. These are using the free version elements. And here are the Pro elements. We will install Elementor Pro in just a bit and come back to this. And then below that, we actually have the general elements, and these are just more free elements you can use on your websites. So to get started with, over here, I'm gonna go ahead and drop in a heading text. Now for every element, you're gonna see that you have 3 different tabs on the left side. You have the content tab. This controls the actual content of the elements. And then we have style. Style changes things like the font color, typography, and also you can add in cool things like text shadow and just other graphic effects. Then we have the advanced tab. This controls things like the margin and the padding, and also the position of the element. You'll use this sometimes for some elements, but for most elements, you're probably not going to use the margin and padding. Let's click over here under content. Now you might also get these little pop-ups right here asking to install plugins. I recommend to just close any of those pop-ups. Now, for example, here we're going to put in Daryl Wilson, okay? And I'll click on the plus. And then here I will throw in an image. So right here we have image, okay? And then I'll click on choose image and select media library. And here we have demo images that were automatically imported when you imported the demo content. So I'm going to select this one right here and then click on select. Now for the image resolution, I'm going to select mine at 1536. However, if you adjust this, it can make the image longer or shorter depending on the actual resolution. But I like this right here. This is kind of like, it's a slim fit. Here I'll click on add elements. Next, I want to take the text editor and just drag and drop. Now, when you see that pink line right there, all you got to do is just drop the elements. And after we drop that in, here on the left side, you can see that we can add in, more content to this specific section. And here I'll click on add elements one more time, and then I'll just throw in a button module. So now we have this button. Pretty cool. Now what's really cool is for each element, you can right click and you can duplicate. And then you can take this element, and here we have this pencil icon. You can drag and drop it. So I can put it in this other column right here. And I can do the same thing for this one, right? Take this, drag and drop it, and keep going as you can tell. Now you can also go ahead and delete elements. So I can right click on an element, click on delete, right click, delete, and right click and also delete. Now what's really cool about duplicating things is you can also duplicate columns and also entire rows. So for example, I will right click on this, duplicate, right click and duplicate. And I no longer need this column right here. So I'm just going to delete this column, and there we go. Now you can also duplicate entire sections. So here you'll see that we have this edit container. I can right click on this, duplicate, and then the entire section will actually be duplicated. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool things you can do with Elementor, but I'm gonna close this and let's talk about now how to design the background. So the first thing I want to talk about is you can actually change the color of each column. So if I click on edit container under the style section, if I go to classic right here and select color, you'll now see that we can change the color for this specific background. So we can change that specific color, pretty cool. Now you can also add in colors on the entire background. So this section right here with the 6 dots, this is controlling this entire section. So for example, for the style section, if I want to add in a color, I'll click on classic, and then we can apply like a classic. Now notice how this one is still carrying that one color because we selected that one color for this column. If I want to get rid of that, I'll click on the column and then just make that transparent, and voila. So that is a quick little crash course on how you can, design elements and style them a little bit more. But I bet you guys are all wondering about these controls over here on the left side under layouts. Now this is referring to the Flexbox. So let me dive into that. So here I will go ahead and click on the plus and click on Flexbox. Now I'm gonna select a 2-column row, okay? And here we have 2 columns. Now here's an example of where the Flexbox really becomes useful. Let's say, for example, you want to build a landing page, right? And on your landing page, you might have 2 buttons side by side, very similar to my website. On my website, darylwilson.com, we have a heading text, a normal text, and then we have 2 buttons. Now, if we go to this website over here and we drag a button, right? And I drag another one right here, you're gonna notice that it's stacked on top of each other and there's no way to put these side by side. And this can lead to a lot of frustration, obviously. This is where we're going to use the Flexbox. So over here, I'll click on add elements, and we're gonna take a container and we're gonna drag and drop it right here. Now I wanna take these buttons here and put them in the box. Okay, take this one and take this one. So now we have these two buttons. So now we can utilize and manipulate these elements inside of the container. So I'm gonna click on Edit Container, and then here we have those directions. Remember earlier how we had those directions for the Flexbox earlier, like the bottom and the right side? That's exactly what these are referring to. So if I select horizontal, it's going to place the elements horizontal from one another. To give you an example, here I'll click on horizontal, and now you see that we have these buttons side by side. We can also add in space between, space around, space evenly, or just put them at the starts. Now align items, this actually will work if we have a larger box, so we'll come back to that. Now I want to make this a little bit longer, as you can tell. So this is kind of like, it's very tight. So I'll click on this container. So I want to expand the height. So to expand the height over here under the minimum height, you can actually increase the size of this. If you want a full page, you're going to select VH and then select 100. Elementor even tells you this to achieve a full height container, use 100 VH. Full height is essentially having a landing page just like this. So this is 100 VH, where the users are brought to a really clean landing page that is full width that covers the entire screen. So going back over here, if I now want to utilize the Flexbox again, I can manipulate these elements inside. So I'll click on this container. And now you're gonna see that we can actually justify this. So I'm gonna put this in the center. Now we can also create gaps. So now you can see that we can utilize gaps, and we can space this exactly how we want it to be inside of this box right here. But I think we'll just stick with something basic. I'm just going to put maybe something like, center, right? And to finish this off, here at the top, I'll click on Add Elements. I'll drag in an image, and then I'll select an image. I'll go ahead and select this one here and click on Select. Then I'll center this. So I'll use the Flexbox again, and I'll justify this in the center. And there we go. So now I have a full complete landing page. So that is the Flexbox summed up. On the demo website over here, you're gonna come to find that we are using a lot of the Flexbox containers with specific elements. So we'll come back to the landing page in just a little bit. But before we go into the landing page, now let's talk about the grid layout. So I'm gonna right click on this and delete it. And now let's talk about the actual grid. And we are gonna start from scratch. So I'll click on the plus and click on grid this time. So here we have different structures. Now I think the one that describes this the best is probably going to be the 4-column row. So here we have 2 rows and 2 columns. Now, if I click on Add Element over here and try to drag in an image, you're gonna see that it won't let us. You first must actually put an image in the first one, and after that, you can then put it in the second one. So for example, if I want to add an element over here, like, anything, you're gonna see that we can only add in one specific element, and then it prompts us to insert something into the next one. I'll explain more on why that is in just a bit, but I'm gonna put in 4 images. So I'm gonna right click on this one, delete it, throw an image. So once we have that, we can now manipulate these boxes inside of this grid layout. So over here, I'll click on container, and right away, you're gonna see that we have options. So for example, we can put something like, 4 columns or 3 columns, and we can also add in more rows. So now you're gonna see that we have more rows, okay? But I'll do something like, we'll just put in maybe 4 columns and just 1 row. Now, essentially, I believe this is best suited for portfolios, images, and other ways, but I'll explain another cool way on how to use this. But let's say, for example, you want to adjust the width right here. You can make this larger. You can also add in gaps. If you don't want any gaps at all, you can just put 0 gaps, and then we have this sort of effect right here. You can also add in a background image or a color to this. So for example, if I click on style over here and go to classic, we can actually add in a black right there, and then you can showcase images right here for the grid layouts. So here we have 4 different columns, and we also have 1 row. Now, instead of actually inserting a module where we only have the option for 1, we can actually insert a container into each of these, and then we can add in multiple modules inside of that container. For example, if I want to throw in a text right here, change the text color to white so we can see a little bit better. Okay. And then maybe throw in an image and then throw in a button. We can do that for each specific one. So by doing this, it does give you a little bit more flexibility to add in more columns and rows. So for example, over here, we can throw in a container, And then also do the same thing for this one over here. So essentially what you're doing here is you are creating grid layouts with flex boxes where you can have multiple elements. And don't forget, you can always use the flex box just like we did on the other sections here as well. So that is a quick little rundown on how to use the grid. I do recommend to actually insert flex boxes in the boxes, and that'll just give you more control over your website. Now, one more thing I want to mention is, let's say you accidentally delete something and you make a mistake. Over here under this history button, if we go to these revisions right here, you can always backtrace and go to any part of when you're building your website. So if you ever made a mistake or something went wrong, you can always go back into the history and build your website as you were building it before. And once you're done making all the changes on your website, here at the top right, you'll click on Publish. And this is going to now save all the content on your website. And if you do want to see what your website looks like on this page, you'll click on Preview Changes. This will open up a new tab where you can view all the changes you made to your page right here. We'll talk more about how to add it to the menu a little bit later. But with that said, let's go ahead now and talk about the actual homepage. So to go to our homepage, it's quite simple. Instead of actually closing the editor and going to the homepage, here under the this arrow right here, I can now click on Home, and this will bring us to the homepage with the editor still open. Okay, so now that you have an understanding of how to use Elementor, you can actually go to our demo content right here, click on any of these elements and adjust it. You can also take elements here and just drag them onto the page, and you can further expand and build your websites. So feel free to go throughout the rest of the websites, and there are some images that you might not need, like this one. So I'm gonna right click over here and delete this because I think that's no longer needed. Also for this one here, I don't want this either, so I'm going to delete that. So feel free to go throughout the rest of the website, make any modifications you want, add in content, and fully adjust this templates to fit your business needs. Now, in the next section, we're actually going to now incorporate the Pro version. So after you're done making changes to your website, here at the top right, you're going to click on Publish. And now let's go ahead and talk about the actual Pro version. Here, I'll click on Save Options and click on View Page. And now we're logged out of Elementor, where we can view the website and view any changes we've made to our website. So in this next section, now let's talk about how to incorporate Elementor Pro onto our new website. Okay, so now that we know how to use the Elementor page builder, now let's go ahead and purchase the Pro version. Now, Elementor's Pro features are really scattered throughout Elementor, and I'll be honest, it's really hard to know exactly what you're getting when you're buying Elementor. So we're actually gonna go through each of the Pro features step by step to show all the Pro features inside of Elementor Pro. Now, there is a link in the video description. This will take you to the Elementor's website, and here we can purchase the Pro version. Okay, so once you click on that link in the video description, it'll take you to this page right here, and let's go over the pricing options. So right here, I'll click on View Plans. Now, the very first plan is kind of garbage. Okay, I would not recommend the Essential plan. The reason why is because they don't give you all the widgets, and they also don't give you the pop-up builder, which creates those really cool pop-ups that you saw earlier. So I would not use the Essential. Now, if you plan to only have one website only, the Advanced Solo might make sense. This gives you access to all of the Pro features with Elementor. However, I think the Advanced would be suitable for most beginners. Now, the difference between the Advanced and the Advanced Solo is this gives you access to put this on 3 different websites instead of only one. This price is $84 a year, and these do not renew at higher prices. So this is the price you're gonna pay every year. And for the Advanced, this is about $100 a year. I think $100 a year for the Elementor page builder and all its features is quite fair. So I think for most beginners, Advanced is good. If you are starting an agency and you want to use Elementor on multiple websites, the Expert might make a lot of sense for you. So for the Expert plan, you get access to, all the Pro features. However, right here, you'll see that you pay $200 a year for 25 websites. However, if you select 1,000 websites, you can now put Elementor Pro on all 1,000 websites and get support and updates for all those websites. And you pay about $400 a year. I think that is a very fair price if you're running an agency and you're putting this on multiple client websites. So I would definitely go with agency if you're running an agency. If you are someone that is just messing with Elementor, I would definitely go with the Advanced plan because this will give you the ability to put it on 3 different websites versus only one. So once you get here, you'll click on Buy Now. The next is selecting a billing cycle. Now, if you sign up longer, they will give you a small discount. So for 2 years, you'll see they give you about 14% off. And for 3 years, they give you 17%. That's really not that big of a discount. So I really don't think that's that great of a deal, but it's up to you. Also, one thing I want to mention is all of these plans will give you a 30-day money back guarantee for any reason. So if you use Elementor and you feel like it's not for you, no problem. You can always get your money back. So you'll go ahead and select the billing cycle and then click on continue to checkout. You'll then go ahead and add in your billing information. So you'll put in your email, your billing address. Here you can pay with credit card or PayPal. And on the right side, you'll see a summary price. Now, once you go ahead and pay and you get Elementor Pro, I will then meet you in your customer portal. Okay, cool. So once you actually pay for Elementor, it'll then bring you to your customer portal. Here you can access add-ons, other services, supports, and then also upgrade your plan. Now right here, I'll click on sites. Now at the top right, you're gonna see this download button. Now I recommend going this route and I'll explain why in just a bit. Here, I'll click on the download button and then click on Elementor Pro. This is now going to download Elementor Pro onto your computer. Now, once you do that, you're then gonna go to your website over here and upload that plugin. So over here, let's go to dashboard. We're then gonna scroll to plugins and click on add plugin. Here, I'll click on upload plugin, and then I will now upload that plugin. So right here, I'll go ahead and select the plugin and click on install now. Once we upload the plugin, we'll then click on activate plugin. Now you're gonna see Elementor Pro right here under your plugin section, and you're gonna click on the connect and activate. This is essentially going to sync up your website with Elementor and activate your plugin. So I'll click on connect and activate. Now it's going to connect our website. So earlier it mentioned to connect our website, but this way is a lot easier. So right here, I'll click on connect and activate. And then boom, now you'll see that your license is now active. So now Elementor Pro is now active on your website. Now let's go ahead and go to visit site. Now, before we actually explore the options, let me just go ahead and explain what's changed with the free version. So the first thing I'll do is click on edit with Elementor. Now over here on my other website, you're gonna see that we have this animated headline. We also have this really cool effect with the text, and also we have gradient buttons. So let me explain some of these pro elements and how to achieve this. So over here, I'm gonna take the animated headline and I will drag and drop it. So now we have this text right here. Now it is a little different than the heading text. So right away, you'll see that we have the before and then the highlighted text and then after text. I'm gonna put something like award-winning, right? We're just gonna spell out what I have earlier, right? So award-winning leader in, and then over here under the highlighted text, I'm gonna put digital marketing. Okay. Now here you'll see that we have this, this effect right here. But what I wanna do is go over to the animation shape, and I'm gonna change this to underline. So now it's gonna add that really cool underline effect to that. And over here under style, we can now design it. So first we have the text. This is just the text right here. I think we're gonna leave that standard. For the text color, I wanna change this to black as well. And then here we have the highlighted shape. And this is essentially going to change the color of this right here. So I'm gonna click on the actual default. And these are the global styles and the global colors. And these were created automatically when you imported the starter template with Solus. I'm gonna select the purple one, all right? And I feel like that's pretty cool. So we're kind of carrying that that green and purple, black, white color scheme going on. So I'm now going to right click on this element and delete it. Now, all I want to do is make this larger. So for the text under the typography, we're just going to simply make this larger. Okay, and voila, we have now replaced that other heading text with something that looks a little bit more professional. And now we have this really cool like animated effect on our text. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the option to now explore CSS AI. So let's say, for example, on my demo website, we have this text right here, but notice how it has that 3D effect. Also, if we scroll over here, we have this gradient button, and also we have this gradient text. Now, this is all done with the Pro version with CSS AI. So for example, I'm gonna click on this element here and go to the advanced section. We're gonna scroll to the bottom and click on custom CSS. And here I'll click on edit with AI. Now, I know many of you watching this have no idea how to use custom CSS. Even myself, it could be a struggle, but now with AI, it makes things really simple. So for example, add a 3D shadow to this text. Now, this is just one of the many different prompts you can insert, but I'm gonna click on generate code. And it's now going to create this 3D effect for this specific text. And then voila, you'll now see it has this really cool 3D effect. And what this does is it just enhances original modules that don't really give you that option. So let's say, for example, like, all right, cool, we got this one done. Now we can actually go to any element and insert custom CSS. For example, we have this button over here. I'm gonna click on the button, go to the advanced section, and then do the same thing, custom CSS, and then click on edit with AI. So let's enter a prompt. On button hover, create a gradient background with cyan to purple color. Okay, then I'll click on generate code. And now when I go over to this button over here and I hover over it, you're now gonna see that we have that really cool gradient inserted on this button. Now you can also do this with text as well. So if you want to maybe add in a gradient for this specific text, same thing, custom CSS, edit with AI. And let's just say, for example, you want to add in a gradient right here. I don't want rainbow color, so I'm gonna so I'll enter this prompt by saying add a color animated gradient with cyan to purple and click on generate code. And then this text will now change to a gradient. Okay, and I'll click on inserts and voila. Just like our demo, you now see that we have this really cool animated gradients. Now you can also do this with images. Now over here under my demo website, you'll also notice that if we hover over these, we have this really cool effect. You can also apply the CSS effect with images. So over here under the advanced, custom CSS, edit with AI. And then I'll just select the first suggested prompt and click on generate code. And now when I hover over this image, you'll now see that it rotates if I hover over it. So the Elementor AI is actually pretty cool when it comes to CSS. There's a lot of really creative things you can do with the CSS AI. Now the next thing I want to talk about is how to add in those gradient animated backgrounds to your website. Now we added in the CSS options for elements, but you can also apply those to containers, backgrounds, or any other elements. So I'm gonna click on this background right here and go to the advanced section. And if I scroll down to custom CSS, I'll click on edit with AI and we can actually now add in gradient backgrounds. Now I actually got the color code from Elementor. So this right here is an example. So for example, I can copy this prompt. And if you do need access to this prompt, I'll leave it in the video description. But let's go back over here to my website and I'm just gonna paste in this prompt. All I said here was, let's go ahead and take a look. Create a 2-color animated background from one color to another. Now you're gonna put your color codes right there. Here we put 5 seconds and make it infinity, make it smooth. Now, obviously you can update this prompt. You can add in different colors, you can put in different commands, but I'll just go ahead and just insert this right here. And once I do that, you're now gonna see that we have this really cool like animated gradient background that you can apply to your backgrounds of your website. So I'm going to re-enter that color code, but this time I went to this website called color.hex. And let's just say you find a color that you like. Here, I'll go ahead and grab in this blue right here. So we're gonna paste this in. Okay, make sure there's only one number symbol. And then also we have this color over here, which is like more of a purple color. I'll go ahead and paste that here. All right, and then I'll click on generate code. Now it should go ahead and use like a purple, like to cyan sort of color for the background. So now you'll see that we have this really smooth background. You know, I really do like this color. So yeah, I mean, you can achieve that if you want to go that route. I think this looks, I think this looks actually pretty appropriate. Be very careful with gradients. So I like to show gradients, but just show a little, because adding in too much gradient, it really is hard to carry throughout the rest of the website. But I just like the idea of adding in gradient backgrounds. I thought that was really cool. So now let's go ahead and talk about the other pro elements. Now I'm gonna scroll down right here and use this section. So if you wanna experiment, you'll click on the add container and then you can use the Flexbox and then just, drag in some elements inside of the columns. Now I'll be honest, the only way to really learn how to utilize all these elements is just by trial and error. You just gotta drag them in the columns and just practice, guys. For instance, over here, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the, we have the call to action or the flip box. Here, I'll drag and drop the Flexbox. And this essentially will flip the box when people hover over it. Now for every single element, it's gonna have its own unique styling options. So these, there is no like universal styling option. They're all gonna have different options. But here you'll go ahead and design the front. And then if you want to design the back right here, you can actually design the content. And just remember the style tab, this will actually change the color for the front. And scrolling down, you'll see you can change the color for the back. So for example, if I change this to like a red, you know, this right here is now the back, right? So this right here is the front, and then also this is the back. So you can go ahead and change the options and colors for each of these elements. So let's go ahead now and talk about some of the most important elements when using Elementor Pro. Now, I personally believe the ones that are going to be the most important is something like the loop grid. We also have the post. We also have the contact form, which is really important. And then also we have the portfolio and the WordPress menu. This essentially allows you to create those really cool mega menus that you saw on the demo website. So I'm going to walk you through some of the more important ones and explain how they work. The first one is the loop grid. Now, if you don't want to actually use the post right here, you can create your own loop grid. To give you an example, if I drag and drop posts, these are posts that are created when you create a blog post. And right here, I'm going to select cards. I personally do like cards. So this will display your blog post on the very front page. Now, if you want to actually custom build your own post from scratch, you can do that with the loop builder. So I'm going to right click here and delete this. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and drag and drop the loop grid right here. And I'll explain how all this works. The first thing I want to do is create a template. Now, right here, you're going to see that we have custom post types. So you can essentially create a layout for any type of custom post type, such as real estate, WooCommerce products. And in this case, we're going to use it for posts. So for example, I'll click on create templates and I'll click on save. So once you do that, you're now going to have new elements here on the left side. Now, what we're actually doing here is we are basically just building out this section right here. So we are creating our own sort of blog post that we can display on the front page. However, keep in mind, you can use this for any custom post type of your choosing. To give you an example, we're going to first insert a Flexbox here. Okay. After that, we're going to then take the featured image. Okay. So this is going to be the image of the actual article. Below that, we'll go ahead and use the post title. Okay. Now this is a little bit too large. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to reduce the size of this. So over here, we're just going to make this a little bit bigger, but not too much, right? Something like that. And below that, we're going to take the post excerpt, drag and drop it. And for the post excerpt, you can choose how many characters you want to display. For example, I'll put like maybe 15. That is essentially creating how many words right here. So it's going to pull 15 different words from the article and display it right there. And I'll click on the plus. And below that, we can go ahead and put in a button. Now this is going to be very important. So here I'll put in button. Okay. Now this is where dynamic content comes into play. So right here we have something called dynamic tags. And this is essentially going to actually become the URL for whatever it is that you're talking about in this specific section. I'm going to select the post URL. So that means it's going to actually link the user to this specific article. Okay, makes sense? Got it. Now for the text, I'm going to put view article. Okay. And if I click on the plus, we can now add in anything else right here. So for the post info, I'm going to drag this and put it above the actual text. And here we have a few options. We have author, we have date, time, comments. I'm going to actually get rid of these right here and only have the author display just because I, want that. And I want to also display the avatar. So I want to actually show the author. Here we can increase the size. And here's where we can kind of get a little creative. So over the advanced section, I want to kind of push this up. So I'm going to add negative margin now. And that's essentially going to push this into the actual image and give it this sort of like, this sort of design effect right here. Now, also what we can do here is we can incorporate a background color. So for example, I'm going to click on the container right here, and in the style, I want to add a classic color of something like a black right here, something like that, right? And if we decide to do that, we probably need to maybe add a border radius, because see how these edges are a little sharp? We can go ahead and reduce that by going over to the border section and adding in a border radius, just like that. Now, obviously, you're probably gonna have to change the actual text or color of the text. So I'll click on this, and then we're going to now change the text color to white. Now, the last option I forgot to select was the actual post excerpt. So if I click on the post excerpt, I want to apply to post contents. So here I'll click on yes. And then there we go. So we can actually, we can increase the amount of words we want it to display right here in the actual excerpt. I'll put something like 16. And once you're done editing your loop, you will then click on save and back. And here we go. Now we have all of our articles here displaying in this really cool manner. You can also click on the pencil icon here and you can reduce the number of columns, items per page. You can also make it like masonry, which is like kind of like a jagged effect, or you can click on the actual equal height, which will make sure all of your posts or custom post types have equal height. Now the next one that is important, but it is sort of outdated, is the off canvas menu. The off canvas menu essentially allows you to create these pop-ups right here, where if someone clicks on something, it creates these really cool pop-ups. However, there was an update with Elementor, and now instead of the off canvas menu, I definitely recommend to use pop-ups instead. Off canvas menu does allow you to create pop-ups like we saw earlier, but I don't recommend it anymore, and I think it's a depreciated module. So if you want to create pop-ups, I definitely recommend to use the pop-up module, and I'll explain how to do that a little bit later. Now, one of the more important elements that I want to talk about is going to be the form right here. So what I'm going to do is go to the Finder and type in contact, and this is going to pull the contact page. I'll click on contact page, and this is now going to shift us over to the contact page. So we're going to scroll down, and this right here is actually the Solace form builder, but we're going to right click on this and delete it. Now, when we scroll down, we're now going to drag and drop the actual form. Okay. And this is a form where people can fill it out, and this information will be sent to your specific email. And what's cool here is you can actually build this form. So here we have name, email, and message. But if I click on add item, we can now add in something else. So here under the type, we can add in a URL, we can add in a checkbox, a number, or a file upload, or anything else. I'll just go ahead and add in something very basic, like a text right here. And for the label, I'm gonna put phone number. All right, phone number. And then also right here, placeholder, we're gonna put phone number. Okay, here I'm gonna collapse form fields. And then for the buttons, you can now design the button here as well. So you can fully design everything about this form. Actions after submit. Now this is pretty cool. So if someone actually does something right here where we collect their email and submissions, you can actually do something, like you can redirect them. So if you want to redirect them to another page or something, if I select redirect, if I now select redirect, all you got to do is put the URL right here. This is typically used for if someone fills out a form and you want to give them access to a download or take them to a new page or something. That's where the redirect becomes very useful. I'm going to select email here, and I'm going to close this pop-up. So here's the email. Now you're going to see it's going to be sent to this specific email. This is the actual message. You can change this to like, my web agency, right? Here is the message, and then it's coming from the actual WordPress email right here. So after we do that, I'm now going to click on publish over here. So once you're done editing your contact form and you adjust it to your liking, I recommend to watch this video right here. This will walk you through how to set up SMTP. So essentially this will walk you through how to receive emails from your website, and then it can now send it directly to your inbox. So you're gonna use a free plugin, and I'll put that tutorial in the video description. So after you set that up, I definitely recommend to set up your SMTP. So on your own free time, feel free to go ahead and use a lot more of these pro elements. I think many of you watching this video will just get the hang of it just by dragging in elements, seeing what they do, exploring the options. We are going to use a little bit more of these pro elements once we actually go to the pop-up section and the theme builder. So with that said, let's go ahead and go to the next section. So before we talk about the next pro feature, let's talk about the backend options and what they all mean. Now, once you upgrade to the pro, a lot of these options will become available. Now, the first option is submissions. Now, this essentially will show all of the messages displayed through your contact form. So every time someone fills out your contact form, you'll see messages right here. I'll click on the first one. You'll see that we have the name, the phone number, the email, and also the message. Next, we have custom fonts. If you want to upload your own custom font that is not native to Elementor, you can click on add new font and then upload it right here. The next is custom icons. If you do not want to use the default icons with Elementor, you can click on add new icon right here and upload it. And then you can use those icons using the icon widget with the Elementor builder. I'll be honest though, they do give you a lot of elements to use in icons, so I don't really see a use for it, but hey, if you want to get super complex and creative, you can go that route. The next is custom code. If you are a developer and you want to add in custom code such as CSS or HTML or meta tags or whatever, you can go ahead and add it here by clicking on new code. The next is called Role Manager. Now, this is essentially if you are a web agency and you want to give your customers the ability to sort of edit specific parts of the website. Here we have Editor. Now, the editor will have access to everything. However, you can restrict the access to specific parts of your websites. So for example, if you give your customer the editor role and you give them an email and you create a role for them, you can say, I do not want you to have access to the editor. Sorry, right? The author, however, the author can enable options like enable JSONs. They can use something else. They can access to, this, whatever. So you can create specific roles for specific users. The next is the element manager. Now, this is really if you want to get into the nitty gritty. So if you hand over your website to a client and you want to restrict specific elements, right here under the edit button, I know this is hard to read. I mean, this might be some sort of bug, but here you can give specific users to use specific elements on your website, right? So you can always go that route if you want to do that. And then the other options are just general options like tools where you can add in like maintenance mode and other things like that. Now, also we mentioned users. So over here under all users, if you ever want to create a user and maybe, hand over your website to a client, you'll click on add user. And this is essentially where you can assign specific roles for, your client. So for example, right here under the role, you can say, all right, this is going to be the contributor. And then you can set specific role options for contributor. Here, you'll put in the username, the email, and then they can log in on your website and then adjust things depending on their role. Okay, so that is pretty much it for the general options. Now let's go over here to templates, and this is where a majority of the Elementor Pro features lie. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is going to be the floating elements. Now, the floating elements essentially creates this banner here at the top where you can add a button and link them to different parts of other websites. And it also creates this little icon right here where users can contact you via WhatsApp or something else. And these are really easy to incorporate. Now, one thing to note here is that these are exclusive to the Pro and also the free version. Okay, so you can use this on both, but I feel like you should probably learn how to use this. The first one is the floating buttons, and this essentially will just create floating buttons at the bottom right of the screen. And here we can actually build it. Now, the reason why we're going to talk about this is because if you actually upgrade to the Pro, you get access to all of their templates. So usually with the free version, you'd have to custom build it from scratch, which kind of sucks. In this case, we can use any one of these right here. As you can tell, there is a lot that you can insert, and this makes your website just look a lot more professional, to be honest. Here, I'm going to insert the call now. I'll click on insert. And then here you can see that we have the platform. So we have different options, like we have WhatsApp. It'll change it to WhatsApp. We also have phone number. And then here you can just insert a phone number, right? Now, if someone clicks on this, it's then going to dial that specific phone number. Also, one thing I should mention is do not worry about this banner. It is just here because this is a custom post type and it will disappear when you actually save everything. So do not worry about this. This is strictly from the theme. Anyways, so after we've done that, I'll click on publish. And one other option in the Pro version is you can now incorporate display conditions. So for example, if you want to display this only on your home page, you can do that. If you want to put it on the entire site, you can also do that as well. Here for this specific example, I'm going to select singular. And over here, I'm going to put the actual page and I'm going to put home page. So essentially I'm saying I only want this to display on the home page and no other page. Once we set our display condition, I'll click on save and close, and here we go. Next, let's take a look at our website. Okay, so going to our website, now at the bottom right, you're gonna see we have this telephone, and if I click on it, it now prompts me to actually, call it. In this specific case, it wants to use FaceTime, but depending on the app, it'll, give them options to call via Skype or via Microsoft Teams or something else. So that's how you can incorporate floating icons. Next, let's talk about the floating bar. So under the floating elements, right here, I'll click on add new floating elements, and then we'll just select floating bars and click on floating elements. Now you'll see that you have options to display all these bars right here, and they have quite a bit to choose from, including this really cool gradient one at the bottom. And that is like a little banner that will kind of show them, whatever at the bottom. So there's a lot of really cool use cases for the bars, including sales and promotions. I'll just stick with the basics here and insert this one. And now you'll see that we have this bar here at the top, and you can change the actual icon. Here you can, upload your own if you want to go that route. You can change the text. The call to action button, this is where you can change the link. And the floating bar, here you'll see that you can have the close button. Now, if you go to style, you can style everything about this bar. You can change the actual icon color, you can change the button, and then also you can change the actual background of the floating bar to, pretty much any color that you want. So you have full control to, fully customize every single element. But in this case, I'm just going to publish this. Now here you also can add a condition. So you can choose entire sites or whatever else. I'm just going to select entire sites and click on save and close. Okay, now once I do that, if I go to our website over here and I refresh the page, you'll now see that we have that floating bar. And if I close this, you'll now see it's gone. Okay, now the next pro feature is going to be the website templates. Now, I am not a big fan of Elementor's website templates, and I do honestly believe they've sort of given up on the templates. And the reason why they've given up is because there's so many themes like my theme and many other themes like Astra, Cadence, and Bloxy that already come with like hundreds of free templates that you can use. So for that reason, I felt like Elementor they've just sort of given up on the actual templates. You're gonna see these templates are really, really old and they don't really have too much, right? So that's pretty much all they offer, right? So it is nice to know that you can insert these on your websites. Now, since we're on website templates, there is something also to note that you receive in the pro version. Now, this really isn't that great, but hey, it's better than nothing, I guess you can say. If I click on the plus over here and go to the templates, you now have access to use all of these blocks right here. So you can go ahead and insert all of these blocks onto your websites. There is quite a bit, as you can tell. I just found myself not using these because they're just not consistent with my design. Also, under the pages section, you'll also see you have access to these templates here. It's not that much, but I guess it's better than nothing. So yeah, so those are the website templates you get when you upgrade to the Elementor Pro version. So those are some of the pro features that I showed you. Now I'll be honest, a lot of those pro features, they're kind of whatever, right? They're not that great. Now, in my personal experience, many people buy the Elementor Pro version strictly because of the theme builder and also because of the pop-up builder. So in this part of the video, I'm going to go over the theme builder and also the pop-up builder, which essentially is the most important pro feature of Elementor. So first, let's talk about pop-ups. Now we're going to cover pop-ups first, and then we're going to talk about the actual theme builder. And you'll understand why we're doing pop-ups first, because then we can apply it on the menu in the actual header theme builder. So let's go over here to appearance, and then we're gonna see pop-ups. Now, I definitely recommend pop-ups over the off-canvas menu. The off-canvas menu came out way earlier, and then the pop-ups came out. And pop-ups, you can actually save them to a library and apply them to various parts of the website. With the off-canvas menu, you can't do that because it doesn't save it as a library. So right here, I'll click on Add New Pop-Up. Now here you'll see that we have a bunch of different, this is technically the theme builder, but it's just, creating pop-ups. And this is gonna be main pop-up, okay? And then I'll click on create templates. Okay, so to get started with, I'm gonna enter in something really simple. Now I'm gonna scroll down right here and just insert this pop-up right here. So I'll click on insert. And this is our current pop-up. Now what you can do here is you can actually drag an element and build this like a section basically. So you can take a text editor, you can drop it in there, and you can fully customize and design this specific pop-up. Now I'm not gonna go through in detail on how to build one from scratch because there's a bunch of pre-made templates and it's quite simple and I don't want to slow the pace down of this tutorial. So here is our pop-up, right? Now right here at the top right, I'm gonna click on publish. And here is where we can sort of figure out how this pop-up will occur. Now, the first thing is the conditions. So if I click on add condition, we're first gonna put this on the entire website, right? But if we put it on the entire website, here if I click on next, it's gonna say, okay, well, it's on the entire website, but what actually triggers this? Here we have on page load, on scroll, which is when they scroll down. You could put on scroll to a specific element after an activity, and there is a bunch of different ways on how to do this. So here I'll go ahead and just say, you know what, if they come to my website and they're on the website for more than 5 seconds, I now want this pop-up to display. So here I'll click on next. So the last option is advanced rules, which is how many times should we display this and also who should see this. So for example, show up. how many times. I'm gonna turn this on and I'm gonna put 2 times, right? Or maybe just 1. I think after 1 time, people are gonna be kind of tired of it. Show after how many page views. So this is basically saying if they view a lot of different pages, then we'll display the pop-up. This is a good strategy if you are, if people are searching a lot on your website. You might want to give them a discount because they might seem interested. But I'll go ahead and turn this one off. And I'm just going to put 3 for tutorial's sake and then click on Save and Close. Now I'm going to visit our website on an incognito tab. Okay, so here we go, wilsontutorial.com. And after I wait about 5 seconds, so we have 3, 4, there it goes. All right, so after we wait a few seconds, we'll now see that pop-up displays and the user can go ahead now and close that pop-up. So that is one way on how to approach pop-ups, and there's a lot more. So going back to our website, let's create an additional pop-up. So right here, I'm gonna go back to WordPress, and then we're gonna add another pop-up. So right here, add new templates, and then right here, I'm gonna put menu, and then I'll click on create template. Okay, so this time I want to actually create a menu and I want to have it pop up when someone clicks on a button. So I'm going to scroll down over here and we're now going to select this one right here. So I'll click on insert. And now right away, here we have this pop-up. Now this is where you can put like your site logo, you can put some information, you can put a video. So you have full access to build this however you would like. Now right here, if I click on this element, this is the WordPress menu. Now this is actually a pro element. So if we scroll down over here, we're gonna see WordPress menu. And when you drag this onto the actual section over here, it will then allow you to display your menu. And you can choose to customize your menu styles. You can put it in the center, to the end. You can have it like an underline or overline. You can do all sorts of different effects. You can also go to the style over here and you can fully adjust the typography of this specific menu. Also, we have a drop down. So if you actually have a drop down menu, which is the second menu, you can actually design the drop down menu as well. So what I'm gonna do here is we're just gonna click on publish and we're not gonna set any sort of conditions. So we're just going to save this. So all I'm gonna do here is click on save and close. Okay, now let's create one more. So over here, I'm gonna do the same thing. So now I'm gonna create one more pop-up. Now we have our main pop-up. This is automatically triggered without no actions. We have the menu, and then we're gonna create one more. So right here, I'll click on create templates, and then we're gonna select one more. So I'm gonna scroll down over here, and we're just gonna select something basic. So I will select this appointment schedule. Here I'll go ahead and click on insert. And without me having to edit everything, I'm just going to publish this. So here I'll click on publish, and I'll also click on save and close. Okay, so now we have a pop-up, we have a menu pop-up, and then we have an automated pop-up. Now let's go to the theme builder and apply these pop-ups to a menu that we can build from scratch. So let's go over here to our WordPress, and we're gonna click on theme builder. Okay, so this is the Elementor theme builder. Now, just in case you're not familiar on exactly what it does, here on my website, darylwilson.com, we are using the theme builder to build my header. You're gonna see that we have these icons here at the top. We have this section here for the templates. We also have a menu, and then we also have gtranslate, which can translate the entire websites. Also, if we actually go to a dead link over here and just type in some gibberish and press enter, you're gonna see that we have this 404 page that me and my team, we personally built. Now, if we go to our website right now and we just go ahead and type in, just a bunch of gibberish as well, it's gonna take us to this specific page right here. And normally with WordPress, you cannot edit this page. However, with the theme builder, you can fully design and customize this page and also every other part of your website. So let me demonstrate. Let's first talk about how to create a header with the Elementor theme builder. So here under header, let's first click on header. You're gonna see we have no header. So we first need to create one. At the top right, I'll click on add new. Okay, now we're gonna select this menu here at the bottom left. So I'll click on insert, and here we go. Now the first thing I wanna do is I wanna click on this little image right here, and you can actually use an image or you can use the new options they give you for the header builder. So here we have site logo, site title, page title, WordPress menu, and also the menu. The main difference between the WordPress menu and the menu is with the WordPress menu, this will just display the actual menu just like this. If you want to build a mega menu and have a really custom built menu from scratch, then you would use the actual menu option. We'll talk more about mega menus a little bit later. Right here, you'll see that we have our menu. Now, really quick, if you want to replace your logo, all you got to do is click on this image right here and just replace it with your actual logo. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and select our logo over here. Okay, and there is our logo. Now, you can also do this another way by taking the site logo and putting it here. It's virtually the same thing, right? So it's just a different way on how to title it, but it's virtually the same thing. So I'll just delete this one and keep this. Next, over here, we have our menu. Now, I'm gonna right click and delete this. And just to show you how I did this, all you gotta do is take the WordPress menu and just drag it next to the button, and then it'll display the actual menu on your websites. Now, over here under the style section, this is where you can change the color. You can also add in like dividers and other really cool effects, which is really cool. You can also choose to, design it and customize it. And, there's a lot of different options where you can add in icons. You can change it on hover, on active. And there is a lot of different options that you can go through and customize your header. Now let's talk about something else, which is the pop-ups. Now over here, we have book now. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is click on this button, go to style. And for the background type, we're going to click on the color, right? And then over here, we're going to change this to something like green. Okay. And I think that's okay for now. I don't like the square, to be honest. And if you want to add a border radius, all you got to do is just go ahead and select the border radius, and that will create a more circular button. So I'm not really going to go through in detail on exactly how to build them from scratch. I will have a whole nother video dedicated to this, which will be like 20-30 minutes long. Now over here under link, if I click on back for the button and click on dynamic tags, we're going to scroll down and you're going to find an option for pop-up. So right here we have pop-up. And if I click on pop-up one more time, you're now going to see that we have action. So open pop-up, close pop-up, or toggle pop-up. I'm going to select open pop-up, and now we need to select the pop-up. So the pop-up's name was it menu or something, right? Menu, all right. I'll select the menu. And after that, I'm going to click on publish. Now, the first thing is saying, where do you want this displayed at? So where do you want this menu displayed? So you can actually have specific menus for specific pages. You can have specific menus for specific devices. The sky is the limit here. So over here to add condition, I'm just going to display this on the entire website. I think most users typically do this. On my website, jerrowilson.com, we actually do this. We display the same type of header on all of the pages. But there are many websites that have different headers for different pages. For example, this is apple.com, and if we click on something like Mac, you're gonna see that this is a different header now. So they've added in these icons right here, and they're essentially just linking them to other parts of the websites. If we click on that again, you're now gonna see the header also changes again. So Apple actually has a lot of different headers for a variety of pages. So if you're on a large scale website, it makes sense. But if you're on a small scale website, you might want to stick with just one header. Now going back to our header, I quickly want to go ahead and take out this background. So I don't really like this background. So I'm just going to make sure that I change this to something like a transparent. So I'm going to select white right here, but it's irrelevant because over here, I'm going to make this transparent. Now, one more thing I should do here is under the menu section, I want to make sure this is the main menu of our websites, and then also click on publish. I should also do that for the pop-up. I think I forgot to do that. So this is actually the main menu. The other menus are just demo content from the Solves theme. So now that we've done that, let's take a look at our website. And there we go. So now you'll see that we have our new header right here. We have a transparent background. So you can see the background is actually behind the menu. Here we have all of our pages, and if I click on book now, we now have that menu that we created in the pop-up section. So this way right here, users can actually navigate to different parts of the website. They can go ahead and check it out. So I do like that idea of incorporating the menu here as a pop-up because it just feels like more professional. Also, let me demonstrate how to add pop-ups to any button. So over here in the editor, I'll click on a button, and it's the same exact thing. So over here under dynamic tags, if we scroll down and go to pop-ups, we're going to click on pop-up again, and we're going to just put in the pop-up. I think it was it main pop-up or something? I forgot. Let's just do this one, main pop-up, okay? And click on publish. And then right here, I'll click on the button and voila, it now creates that pop-up. So you can apply any pop-up right there. I think I made the other pop-up and I just forgot the name, but I think you get the point, right? So you can just put the pop-up there, and anytime someone clicks on a button or they click on the menu button, you'll get really nice pop-ups. And I feel like that approach just makes your website look a lot more professional. Now, real quick, just 30 seconds. If you run a business or an online store and you're not using Omnisend, you're doing email marketing the hard way. Omnisend gives you pre-built automation flows that handle everything, like new subscribers, welcome emails, abandoned cart emails, product recommendations, all on autopilot. It's really simple. You just pick a template, customize it, and boom, you're live. Omnisend will then send a sequence of emails automatically over a period of time to your favorite customers. It also connects with all major CMSs like Shopify, Wix, and WordPress. I've used many email tools and nothing comes close to the ease of use with Omnisend, and I personally use it on my e-commerce website. It's powerful, beginner friendly, and yes, they have a free version. I'll leave a discount and a link to Omnisend in the video description in case you want to check it out. With that said, let's jump back to the video. So next, let's talk about how to design the footer of your website using the theme builder. So going back to dashboard, let's go down over here to templates and click on theme builder. Now, when you go back to your theme builder, you're now going to see that you have active parts on your website. And this green dot right here indicates that this is actually live on your website. If you actually click on this, this will give you a small preview of the header or whatever section is being applied. Also right here, if you click on edit conditions, this is where you can always edit the conditions for any of the sections that you are building on your websites. But let's go over here and click on footer and click on add new. Now, very similar to the Elementor header, this is the same thing for the footer. So for example, let's just say, for instance, you want to insert a footer right here. So I'll select this one here and click on insert. You'll now see that we have this new custom footer here on the bottom of the website, and you'll see that our original footer is now gone. Now, for the footer, they do have the same options as the actual header as well. So you can drag in a menu right here. So for example, a lot of people do actually put menus on the footer. I'm not really sure why that is, but I'll go ahead here and duplicate this. And I want to actually place my menu here. So I'm going to click on delete, take the actual WordPress menu, and we're going to place it below. Here we go, below. And for the menu, I'm going to select the main menu. And then we have our menu displayed right here. Now you can go a step further and go to the style tab. And let's just say, for instance, you want to change like the spacing or something. So for example, we can adjust the line height right here to make it, to make it more in line with the actual footer. So yeah, that is essentially how you can build a custom footer. And all you got to do is click on publish here at the top, add condition, and generally people will display the footer on the entire website. And then going over here to our website, if I refresh the page and we scroll all the way to the bottom, here we go. You're now going to see that we have this new footer that is now active on our website. So the theme builder obviously gives you a lot more control. Now, originally you'd have to use the actual theme settings, but with the Elementor theme builder, as you can tell, you can custom build this footer and make it as large and complex as you choose. So next, let's talk about the next section, which is the actual 404. Now, if I go to my website right here and I type something in like dash, whatever, and we press enter, we get this page not found. Now, this is the default for the Solace theme. However, with Elementor, you can create any type of 404 page you choose. So let's go over here to Elementor and click on theme builder. Okay, so the next section that I want to build is the 404 page. So here I'll click on error 404 and then also click on add new. So let's go ahead and scroll down right here. And obviously there is a variety of 404s to select. I'll just select this one right here and click on inserts. And I'm going to click on apply. Now, the first thing that I want to do here is I just want to click on the actual button, and for the link, we need to redirect them to basically any page you want them to go to. So for the link, I'm going to type in home, and then you're going to see that the home page displays. Now I have two, but you're just going to have probably one. So here I'll select home, and I think that's pretty much it. So again, you can custom build this. I'm not going to go through how to build it from scratch because obviously you know how to use the builder by now. But yeah, you can custom design this and build this however you'd like. But once you're done editing your 404 page, you would click on publish. And here you have display conditions. Now right here, you'll see by default, they select the 404 page. So all you got to do is just click on save and close. And that's it. So let's go over here to our website, and I'm going to refresh the page now. So after we refresh the page, you'll now see that we have this 404 error displayed on our website. So this means anytime someone enters the wrong address, it'll redirect them to this page, and they can always click on Take Me Home and be redirected back to the home page. So we talked about the header. We also talked about the footer, the loop item, and the 404. The next is going to be the single post. Now, if you decide to actually create a blog and you want to custom build your blog page from scratch, it's actually quite simple to do with Elementor Pro. Okay, now the first thing I want to do is I'm going to select this template right here and click on Inserts and click on Apply. Now, essentially what this is going to do, it's going to create a new format for your blog post. And here you'll see that this is a post title. Now, when you actually activate the single post, you're going to see that you have a variety of elements to choose from. So the first obviously is the post title, which is this right here. The next one is going to be the post info, which is the date and author. The next is the featured image. So whenever you create a blog post and you add a featured image, it's going to automatically propagate right here. So if we actually create a blog post, this is going to be the new blog post image. Below that, we have post excerpt. This is just some excerpt about the actual post. And then below that, we have the post content. So whenever you're creating the article, it's going to automatically propagate to the entire article right here. And obviously you can enter in more information right here. You can put in a variety of different things. Now, a really cool feature in the Pro version is actually called the table of contents. Now, the table of contents elements, I'll just go ahead and briefly explain it here, is it actually brings users to different parts of your article depending on how you formatted the article. So for example, if you put a heading text and user clicks on the first one, it's going to automatically redirect them to that specific heading link. So essentially what it does is it just creates a really nice, pleasant experience where users can just click on something and then be redirected to that specific part of the article. So if they were to click on conclusion, it would drag them down to conclusion. A lot of blogs actually have this, and I'd like to put this on the sidebar. So I'd probably make a second column over here, drag this on the side where, users can actually, click on something and then have it automatically bring them down to the blog post, which it just creates a very friendly user experience. So that is the table of contents. Now scrolling down over here, if you want to add in like the ability to have in comments, you'll see that there is no comments. We can take post comments and drag it below the actual conclusion. Users will then be able to leave comments on your blog. And then also we have post navigation. This essentially will allow users to scroll to the next article or the previous one right here. So we have previous. Now, since this is a new article, there is no next, but once you create more articles, the next will then display right here. So yeah, that is pretty much a way on how you can create single blog posts from scratch using Elementor Pro. Once you want this to be your main blog, over here, I'm gonna click on publish. Now, before I do this, I wanna all show you my current blog right now. So I'm gonna click on single post right here. So this is my current blog post right here that I'm currently using for my website. And here's my contents. Scrolling down, we have our conclusion, and then we have the author there at the bottom, and we have some share icons. If I go over here and I now display this for all singular, which are my blog posts, here click on save and close. And here we go. So now you'll see that we have this title right here. We have the featured image. We have the content. Scrolling down, we're going to see that we have our conclusion with our comment box here at the bottom. Okay, and the very last thing that we're gonna talk about before we jump into the miscellaneous options is how to create a mega menu using the theme builder. So let's go over here to our theme builder, and here under header, I'm gonna create a brand new header. Now, you don't have to follow me here because some of you might not want a mega menu, and I don't wanna drown out your time, but I just want to demonstrate how to do it. It is a little different than the other style that we've chose. Okay, so let's get started. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just insert something right here. You don't have to follow me if you don't want to, but I just wanna demonstrate how to achieve this. Now, here we have this top one. I'm just gonna delete this one here at the top, and then we have this right here, which is our site logo, and then we have our WordPress menu. I'm going to delete this here, and we're just going to insert this one right here called menu. So I'm gonna take this and just drag it. There we go. Okay, so it does get a little weird sometimes, as you can tell when you're building the header. But here we actually have these items. Now here I'm gonna go ahead and put the home page, okay? And then for the link, you just type in the name of the page. So this is home, all right? And then close that. Item 2, this is going to be the About Us page. So we're just gonna put About Us. And then for the link, I'll put About, all right? And then obviously you do the same thing for your other pages. So this would be like your contact, okay? And then here we'll put in contact. If I actually click on one of these, like let's say for example, I wanna create like a services page or something. So I'm gonna duplicate this, and then here we have this duplicated page. So I'm gonna type in services, and for this one, we're just gonna put in services, or you can just leave it as a dead link. A dead link means if I go over here and I try to click, nothing happens. A lot of users tend to put mega menus as a dead link because you might not want them to click on this, right? So if I click on it, nothing happens. So it depends on what you want to do. I'll just put a dead link for now. And then over here, we have drop-down content. So I'm gonna click on drop-down content, and now you'll see that we have this drop-down arrow. If I click on this arrow right now, you'll now see we have this new space where we can actually build something. So we can actually build an entire menu from scratch. Now, really quick, I just want to adjust this. So I'm gonna take this over here and put it on the right side, or actually maybe in the middle. I think that might make more sense. So once we click on the actual plus right here, you'll now see that we have an option to actually create a mega menu. Now, just like we create the rest of the websites, we can now go ahead and create a mega menu right here. So for example, over here, I'll go ahead and click on the plus. And let's say, for example, you want like a 4-column mega menu, right? Maybe like an image here for each one. So for example, I'll put in something like an image. And you can also link these to different parts of your website. So this can probably be like the posts. This can be like products or something else. So let's go ahead and just walk you through this really quick. So I'll go ahead and select this image here. Okay. And then below that, we can go ahead and link them somewhere. So over here, I'll go ahead and select this. I do want to change the actual image resolution. I want this to be something like 2000 by 975. It creates a very high-res resolution. It's a little bit smaller. Now, what you can do here is you can click on this image and then link them to specific parts of your website. So right here, if you want to link them to like your contact page, we can just type in contacts. And so like this, if a user clicks on this image, it'll now redirect them to the actual contact page. So yeah, you can kind of get the idea now, and you can, custom build your own mega menu. Over here, I will now take the WordPress menu, drag it right here. Here we can display another menu if you want to go that route. We can go ahead and make this vertical. Okay, so I think you get the idea, right? So you can go ahead and start adding in elements, and you can build your own mega menu however you desire. So once a user clicks on that drop down, it will then display this mega menu. Now I bet you guys are wondering, well, Daryl, how did you make this? Come on, this is really nice. You're showing us the bare basics. I'll just give you guys this template for free because obviously there was a lot of work to build this. So let me go ahead and show you all how to upload JSON files to your website. So I'm gonna go ahead and just save this as a draft, and we'll come back to this. Now, you guys do know how to actually create mega menus right now. So I'm gonna give you a template that already has the work done for you, and you can kind of take a look at what I did. So I'm gonna click on theme builder here, and I'll click on header, and we're gonna create a new one. So add new. Okay, I'll go ahead and close this. Now there is a file in the video description. It is called megamenu.json, and all you gotta do is take that file and drag and drop it. So let me show you. So I'm gonna minimize this, and here is the file. It is available in the video description. All you gotta do is just take this and just drag and drop it. That's all you gotta do. Okay, and once you do that, you'll now see that you have this new mega menu right here. And if I click on this drop down arrow, it now displays this entire menu. So all you would have to do here is just go ahead and save this and apply it to the entire website. So if you do wanna use this mega menu, all you gotta do is just go ahead and put for the display conditions, and all you would do is just put this on the entire website. So this way you can have a really professional looking mega menu that actually looks pretty good. Now, since you have Elementor Pro, there is a bonus here. So on my website, darylwilson.com, if we go to my website and click on Elementor templates, we actually offer more than 500 Elementor template kits for the Elementor Pro version only. Basically, you need Elementor Pro in order to use these templates because we also utilize the Pro features. Now, under the Get All Access now, we are giving a exclusive discount in this specific video only. So if you enter the coupon code Elementor10, you will receive 10% off the lifetime plan. Essentially, this gives you access to all of our kits and all of our future kits and products. So you can get the lifetime plan for about $180 using the coupon code Elementor10. So I'll go ahead and leave a link to our website and a coupon code in the video description if you do want to check that out. With that said, let's go ahead and jump back to the video. Now, before I let you all go, there's actually 3 more pro features that are kind of hidden throughout Elementor. They just want to go over because they're kind of hard to find, but you have to look for them. So the first one is called display conditions. Now, if you go to your website and click on any elements, right? So if I click on this element here and I click on advanced, if I scroll down under layout, there is an option called display conditions. Display conditions essentially allows specific users to see specific elements on your website. This is typical for membership websites, or if someone is registered on your website, you might want to display some information for those specific users. So here I'll click on add condition. Now I'll click on page title. Now there is a lot of ways to use this and they have tons of different ways, but the most sensible one is something like role login status or maybe registration dates. So for example, here I'll select role. Now, if the person that logs in on your website is an administrator, this essentially means people who are only administrators can now see this element. So if I click on save and close, right, and click on publish. So if we open our website up on a new tab, you're now gonna see that that button is gone because remember, only admins can see that information. So you can actually choose to hide specific elements or have specific sections display on your websites depending on the role, or maybe even if they're logged in on the website. So the next option is called motion effects. Now, if I scroll down over here and click on motion effects, we can actually use motion effects in the free version, such as the animations. But if you want to use the other options right here, like scrolling effects and mouse effects and also sticky, this does require the actual pro version. Now, sticky is interesting. So I've used sticky in a lot of different ways, but if I click on sticky and turn down, you're gonna see that this button just follows us throughout the page. This is actually good if you're building custom post templates and you want a sidebar on the right side. You can make the sidebar scroll with the user. That is a very common way on how to use that. We also have mouse effects where you can add in like a 3D tilt or something, right? Kind of like that, where you know, you hover around and the element moves. This is very common when it comes to backgrounds. So you might have gone to websites where you scroll in the background and the background starts to move. This is all done with the actual 3D tilt. And party people, that is pretty much it for all the Elementor Pro features. Congratulations on making it this far. All right, party people, thank you all so much for watching this Elementor Pro video. If you guys have any questions about Elementor Pro, or you want to leave me a comment, or you want to ask me something, let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to get to all of your comments. My name is Daryl Wilson and I will see all of you party people in the next video. Take care.